set. Start on the whistle. Riders ready?
So as I started the race, I was thinking I should probably stay back a bit, and as a result, you can see I've got most of the field in front of me here. I started thinking about how tough it might be to pass, and so around the corner I go ahead and start trying to pass a few people. A little bit too late, unfortunately.
Wow, probably starting a little fast.
And it's at this moment that I realize my worst fears. That group is the group that I'm going to be fighting with for the next 8 miles to try to get through and get up the hills and down through. Basically what happens when you're in this big of a group is that the mistake of any leader is something that carries all the way back through the group. So if you lose your speed on a downhill or in a turn...
You're good, man. I tried for that inside line, it didn't go.
Yeah, it looked right in the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yep. There's a few cuss words, by the way. As we go up the hill, I'm going to find out and make a few mistakes here and there. It's going to be kind of interesting. It's been a while since I've been on a bike in a group this big, and yeah, I pay the price in just a bit here. Hopefully you won't mind. You know, I don't consider myself an expert by any means, but I've done a few races, and of course I'm always looking for any advice I can get, so I'll share the few tidbits that I have for someone who may watch this video preparing for next year's race. I was just then saying that there's a soft spot, I don't know if you noticed, but just about washed out the back end of my bike. There was still a good crowd behind me, so I figured I'd give them a heads up. Courtesy in a race like this goes a long way. Keeps you from, you never know, that guy may be the guy that you need to have let you pass later on. Anyway, this is my commentary. Hopefully I don't say anything too incorrect. If I do, please feel free to correct me in my comments. But hope you enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy the commentary, feel free to just mute it.
Right.
And this is where I start to think maybe I've made a mistake.
Sorry, man.
I'm not sure what does it, but there it goes. This is pure tragic. I'm excited because the chain's still on. It's in one piece. But I don't understand what's going on.
God damn it.
Sorry about the cuss words.
I don't know what's going on.
So what's happened is my chain has gone from the low gear where it should be to one of the highest gears. And I finally get it back on, but the damage is done. You're gonna hear a lot of gear chatter for the entire rest of the race now. Yeah, so I know that I'm in trouble already. I've got a lot of making up to do because I lost a lot of positions, and you just heard Runkeeper announce that I'm at 6 minutes and 2 seconds. I needed to be at 5.5, and especially on this front half of the race, it really needed to be a bit quicker. I'll make up some speed, but you can see ahead of me there, I've still got a lot of people to pass. I like to use Runkeeper because it announces my distance, my speed, average pace in 5-minute intervals. There's a lot of settings in it where we can pick other ways to let you know where you are. But I guess I didn't learn enough from that first pass in the woods that kicked my chain off. I went ahead and made another couple of ugly passes. Here I am just trying to fight for those positions back. And it's, as you can see, that first bit's tough. If you don't get a good position from the get-go, you're going to be riding behind folks for a while before you find some spots to take advantage of the passes. What you're about to see here is pretty interesting. That fella, there's nothing wrong with the way he was riding, but it's different than the way that we were going to ride. We're a little bit faster through the turns, pedaling a touch more, taking advantage of the downhills faster, and not scrubbing off quite as much speed in the corners. You can tell every one of those passes is precious, especially because when you're in a train like this, you're basically you're having to deal with the difference in style between how the person in front of you rides and how you want to ride. Every time that you approach them and get closer or further away, it's an indicator that you're having to scrub off speed because of how you're adjusting to their style. At the same time, it can also be a bonus. Some of these guys are a lot better than me, and so sometimes if you get behind the right person, like these fellas here, they're setting a pretty decent pace here. I'm working hard to keep up. They're picking pretty decent lines, not wasting a lot of energy, and you can actually improve your pace just by following the lines of somebody better who's in front of you.
On the right.
Unfortunately, by this point, I'm getting pretty panicked because I fell so far behind. And so even though I liked the pace they were setting, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of passing here. I catch a few of them. What is that, about 5 in the last 10 seconds there that I passed. I don't remember getting passed up again. Like I said, I was pretty desperate and frantic, and after having the chain issue and derailleur issue, I thought I would go ahead and make up some time in a hurry on the front end. Boy, that's never a great idea, but unfortunately, once you get stuck at the back of the pack, you've really got to work through and fight hard to get back towards the front. So now I've gone from 6:02 to 5:53. That means I've actually saved 20 seconds in this last mile, but unfortunately it's 2 miles almost, and so you divide it by 2 to get down to 5:53. This is a much better pace than I'm setting now, but as you can tell, I'm breathing a lot heavier now because of all of the passes. They really took their toll on me. Get ready for these musical cassettes. Here it comes. That was pretty, huh? Is there a little bit more of it? That wasn't all shifting. That's just, I made a couple of adjustments because I was having a lot of chatter before the race, and it's really starting to plague me, especially after whatever issue that was earlier. Sounds pretty, doesn't it?
Left. Left.
Take it. Take it.
So as you could hear, I've made up a bit more time at 5:42. That's 11 seconds per mile. But I'm actually having to make up even more time in order to get down there. I'm probably actually riding like 5:20 or 5:15.
Right. Yeah.
Something around the 5:15 range to try to get to an average of 5:30.
Good pace, man.
And you can see it's really taking its toll. I'm breathing pretty heavy for as early in the race as we are. Every bit of that lovely chatter is bleeding energy off from between my legs and my tire as well. It's sort of like trying to climb a set of stairs, but with a 5-year-old hanging on your ankles. It's doable, but it's not a whole lot of fun. Some of these hills are a whole lot easier and better if you can roll them. So at the top of that one, I slowed down to make sure that I could take advantage of the downhill and ride as far uphill as possible. You can tell I lost some distance between me and the guy in front of me, but it was a whole lot better energy-wise to go ahead and be able to get uphill, see how much faster I came up that hill than the fella in front. Is because I gave myself that distance between me and him. I'm not 100% sure what he said, but it sure was nice of him to let me by. But you might be able to tell from my leg cadence and the breath rate that I'm in trouble right now. And so if I remember right, that pass isn't going to last very long. I remember as I get out here that I'm thinking, man, he's just going to pass me right up on this straight stretch. And you can hear the clatter from my cassette and derailleur that are still sort of plaguing me as we try to take advantage of this next downhill. But you know what? I'm having fun. I really enjoyed the race day atmosphere, and this place was incredible. The whole team, and goodness, the course, just look at the speed and this flow on some of this. Absolutely amazing. Love the bridges. They've really got a lot of time and effort put into this course. You know, you can tell that they have to deal with a lot of water and drainage issues, and so they've gotten really creative with how they do that.
Good. Good. Shit.
I had two people behind me when I had to get off and hike a bike there, and you could hear one of them say something about left. I think that was the young man that I had passed, and he was telling the guy behind him to go ahead and go around left, but that was the fella that had let me pass, and so I'm pretty sure that that wasn't a slight. I kept looking back to make sure I wasn't blocking anybody, and I'm pretty sure that it was okay. As I watched it the first time, though, it almost sounded like they were asking a pass, so I thought I'd say something.
Thanks, man.
I mean, and the nice thing is that it's really dependable every single climb. I've got lots of chatter to spare. It really is frustrating when you're trying to put that power down to the ground and all you get is skips, and it's just painful. Just painful. Now some of these are just regular shifts.
I don't know if I got it.
Starting to see some of the younger age groups. So the way that the start worked, they did the juniors first, category 3, and then 19 through 29, 30 through 39, and 40 through 49. They did all of those with 2 minutes separating each group. So as I start seeing more and more of these guys, it's an indicator that we're catching up to the back of those packs at least. So not everybody that I'm passing are people that are getting me positions in my category. So now, all of that incredible work that I've done is starting to slow me down again. I really waste a lot of energy. You can hear it in my breath. My breathing is really struggling. I've gotten very hot trying to catch up. It's now really slowed off substantially. I'm pedaling about as quick as I can, but wasted energy at the front of the race really translates into slow pace later on. I think I was hoping to get to pace with this fella for a little while. That was a buddy of mine, Pablo. In a little bit here, we'll see him.
All right.
He ended up getting winded. That young man let me by, thankfully, because this downhill is a lot more fun with a lot of speed. See, a lot of this course was pretty cool because it just had all these ups and downs because of the drainage areas, and so you could pedal a good bit, get up some speed, and then take a breath, take a drink even sometimes. You could see there coming around that turn. That was a little bit of an uphill. Now I got this lovely downhill to catch my breath on. It's these turns that scrub your speed off, but it's all right. I think the course is incredibly designed. It's a blast to ride.
You got it. On your left. Thank you. All right. You okay?
That was Pablo again, and he just got himself winded, I guess. Oh man, and here I am too. Boy, this hill's tough. I didn't make it a single time when I pre-rode, and it just was a tough spot to be.
Thanks, Clay.
That's my buddy Clay. Clay, that was his first ride, his first race. He's had that bike for about 2 weeks and just getting into mountain biking. Great way to start. Really proud of him for a good solid finish, especially with as little time under his belt as he had. I mean, if you don't love that sound of chatter, I mean, just goodness, that was pretty. Really sets a nice rhythm for the guys in front of me. Probably sounds like somebody's coming up behind them with one of those rickety grocery carts in the store with a lopsided wheel on it. Well, I guess I did alright, but it sure would have been nice not to have to fight that the whole way.
Pass you on the right just after the tree, maybe? Thank you.
Boy, this is uncharacteristic, isn't it? There's a reason I'm slowing down a little bit. Some of these little bridges are just a little sketchy. And like I said before, it's a whole lot better to get a ride them both down and then get speed going up so that you're not running into somebody. So, I let this fella in front of me basically get a good ride in, and that way I could see if he was going to make it. He did a good job, and as a result, I didn't have to stop. But if I was following him this close down that hill and he took a spill, we would both go down. One of my other buddies who rode the race, Ed, he came up on a crash like that, falling too close, trying to pass, and both guys basically got not knocked out, but knocked down for sure. And so it's always a little better to give a bit of space. Still haven't learned my lesson on passing through the sticks. It's a really good way to break a derailleur, bust a chain. I mean, all sorts of great opportunities there. But definitely worth it on this pass. You can see I really got a chance to hit some speed down that hill as a result of being clear of traffic. Those two little gullies were so much fun in practice, but by this point in the race, it was just an obstacle that just felt like it was so hard. They were so much fun at speed, you almost wanted to session them. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm still pedaling pretty fast. My pedal cadence is a lot higher than it was earlier in the race. I've shifted down to the bottom chain ring, the little chain ring, which means your lower gear set, to make these climbs at the end a little bit more tolerable. I was afraid my legs were getting tired enough that I may not be able to make some of these climbs without the extra help of those extra low gears. Oh, no. Never cuss. Second time on that one also. That was a real shame. I think I looked back to see if this guy wanted to pass, but he was far enough behind me that he wasn't going to get past me. And unfortunately, I think I messed him up on clearing that. You saw a couple of hike bikes here, but you know, the strange thing is the hardest hills here I made just fine. But that one and the one a while back where I commented just kicked my butt in both practice and race day here. I guess it's important always to session the things you don't make, and don't just assume that you're going to make them on race day if you haven't figured it out before.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't tell for sure, but that fella in blue, I think I passed him back around the 10-minute mark or so. And boy, he sure came back with a vengeance. Just blew by me, took off until he hit that traffic ahead. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this entire race. I'm waiting to make sure that it's clear, and then you're gonna watch. I'm gonna just dive in. This is the rootiest line, but it sets you up perfectly to make it back up to the top. It's surprising. I've tried every line here, and I try to let this fella to go. That's not the same guy that passed me. That's the traffic. Anyway, I love that line. That by far is the hardest hill. There were so many people that didn't make it, but that one I had no problem with. It's hills like this one. It's sandy and messy and just trouble. I guess I made it this time. I'd hike a bike to that before. I love the fact that there's traffic coming out there to meet people and see people at their favorite obstacle. That hill really took down a lot of riders. Hopefully no one got hurt, but I know it was a real challenge for a lot of people. By this point, I'm getting pretty excited. I've actually heard some people cheering off in the distance, which means that I'm getting very, very close. I'm still about 2 or 3 minutes away, but still, I mean, this is a part where you get a little bit of energy back in your legs. Sometimes you just feel sick to your stomach and you're not sure if you can finish it all. But the other nice thing is that somewhere back there was where the 10U and 12U kids course merged back on with the adult course. They run an entirely separate course, but then they share the last maybe half to 3/4 of a mile. This is always a good sign. You get to see the lake just before you come around and come up the hill, and ultimately start seeing campers at the finish line. Doesn't look like it, but now it's go time. I've seen the shimmer of a camper off in the distance. I know for sure that what I heard earlier wasn't a fictional cheer, and I know that the finish line is ever so close. I mean, I am just huffing and puffing and trying to get myself moving about as fast as I possibly can. There it is. There they are. Do you see them? Oh my goodness, that means just another 100 yards. This was an incredible race. I don't know much about racing, but I thought maybe this would be helpful to somebody who is trying to prepare for next year, for the 2021 series. Thank you to Barber Hills folks, the Barbers, and everyone else that helped put this race on. Just an extraordinary atmosphere. All these are campers here for the bike race. Had a blast. The end of the race is pretty bittersweet because you know it's over for this year. Proud of my 7th place finish. Proud of my buddies for how well they did. That's us before the race. And in the end, we all survived it and had a great time. We'll be back next year. My 7th place in 40 to 49. My buddy Ed got 6th in 30 to 39. The boys will post a separate video of theirs, but everybody had a blast. Jackson even won the swag bag. Can't wait till 2021. Looking forward to it.